In this video, we are going to see how to use the GPS of your phone in order to find which location your phone is in right now. So you know what is GPS already. It is Global Positioning System, and it's a satellite-based navigation system which is used to determine the object's location, the ground location of your object. In this case, object is your phone. So now normally we do that with the help of something called latitude and longitude. I think you would have studied that already. So in Android, a location normally means a data class which represents a geographic location. So normally it consists of latitude, longitude, and a lot of other information which we'll be seeing in this video. I want you to remember a few keywords before we start the program. That's why I'm putting this PPT. So first thing is the word location. It's a keyword. It is a data class I've already mentioned. Second is a location manager. And as the name goes, it manages all details regarding to your location, and it provides access to your system's location services. In some phones they use the word GPS itself, in some phones they just use the word location service, but either way the idea is still the same. So if you switch off location on your phone and try this program, this should not work. And who knows whether your phone has GPS enabled or not is this location manager. And this service of this location manager will allow you to get periodic updates of your phone's location. And this is how if you use Ola or Uber or even Google Maps for navigation, you see that the system knows where you are, and the update happens almost instantly, but then there's a small delay between your location updates. So that's because it gives you a periodic update of where that phone is based on the latitude and longitude of the phone. And it also gives you the one more word is mentioned called proximity. You'll be notified when the device enters the proximity of a given geographical location. So this is happening with, for example, if you are at Spa and you get a message saying that how was your experience at Spa, and how is that understood by the system is because Spa would have a fixed geographical location and you moved into that location, and that proximity of that location triggers that kind of a code. So that also is given by location manager. And just like any other permission, location manager also requires permission from you that you are allowing the app to access the location of the phone, which means you are giving up your location using this permission. So this permission has to be asked by the user whether you are allowing this system to turn on GPS or not. So there are two types of locations. We'll be using the find location permission, which we'll be doing shortly. One more thing which you need to know is that if you use that method which is inbuilt in location map, there are lots of methods, but I'm focusing on only which is required. Is provider enabled? That method will return a true or false whether your system's GPS is on or off. We will use that in the program. The first word is location, second word is location manager, third word which I want you to remember is location listener. So as the name goes, it listens to the location's update received from the manager, and it receives notifications from the manager when the location has changed. And these methods are called if the location listener has been registered with your manager using that method called request location updates. Please note the keyword, I'll be using it shortly. Now in order to request a location update, you need to tell using what service. We'll be using location service. Number two, you need to tell what is the time interval between which I will be querying for the new location. So that is the second one. Third one is that how far do I have to go in order to get the latitude and longitude once again. And the fourth parameter is the listener itself. So we'll be giving that to the request location updates method. And on location changed, there's a method inside that listener which is called on location changed, will be triggered every time your location is changed based on the distance and time which you have mentioned. Please note, a geocoder is a class for handling geocoding and reverse geocoding. Please understand what is the meaning of these two. Geocoding is the process of taking a street address, like how we search. For example, if I go and search for AIMIT St.Aloysius College, Beeri, I get a pinpointed location to a particular place. That is, I searched with the street address, I got a latitude and longitude of that particular place. The reverse would be giving latitude and longitude and finding out which place is it. That is reverse geocoding. It's the process of transforming a latitude longitude coordinate into a somewhat partial address. What are the other data which we get apart from latitude and longitude? What are the data you will get? I'll just list out a few important. There are lots, but I'm going to just list out a few. These are the information basically we get from the location of your phone. We'll be doing all these things in the program as a list view. Let's get to the code part. let's divide this program into small pieces, and the first part of your program should be to get permissions. So as you already know, the first part of getting permission is to ask it in manifest, then come back in code. So let's go to the manifest. So first thing, I'm going to the manifest and I'm going to ask some permissions. Let's start with the first permission. Please note, even though I'm going to ask only one, I'm going to ask one more just in case, because most of the things which I'm going to use is using Google services, and which means I need internet for that access. So I'm going to say uses permission, look for the permission called internet. And this does not require you to ask it once again in code. This is enough here. And the next permission is uses permission find location. So you're going to access the find location. That's the permission which you're going to ask in manifest. If it is marshmallow, below marshmallow, this is enough. But then since we are targeting later phones, let's go to the Java code. Let's get the permissions first, then we'll see the remaining part. So first what I'm going to write is, I'm going to check if the permissions are given. If it is given, I'm going to do a set of code. If it is not given, I'm going to request. So let's put a simple if else condition. So I'm going to write if. And with that, we can write the code directly. I'm going to say check self permission. And what is the permission you're looking for? I'm going to look for manifest dot permission dot access find underscore location. So if this is equal to granted, let's say that if the permission is granted, then I wanted to do a particular block of code. That block of code is to create a location manager and ask the listener to update the location, etc., etc. We'll not do it right now. I'll come back to that. And else, if that part is not there, what I want you to do is request for permission. What permission would you like? I want to take the same permission, so let me take it as an array. Here you're going to say manifest dot permission dot access find location, and let's attach a request code also to it. Let's say, just for our understanding, 1 2 3. So now the entire thing should be engulfed inside one more condition, because this code requires API level 23, and since my minimum is 14, I'm going to just surround it with if. So there's a big if condition first. If the build version is greater than or equal to marshmallow, then check for permission. What if this condition is not satisfied, which means if it is an older phone, what should I do? You need not do anything, because you already got the permission. So you just need to go for the code part. So now here, let's see what happens here later. But then imagine if a request permission has popped up, and if the user clicks on allow or clicks on deny, what should I do? So for that, let's go to the next method, come outside the on create and call on request permission result. There's another method which we have seen in contacts app, if you remember, and in that one I'm going to have a simple if condition. If request code is equal to 1 2 3, the one which I just passed here, if it's the same request code, and second condition is that the grant result will have the result what you got out of that dialog which is popped up to you. So I'm going to say if it is equal to package manager dot permission denied or granted. If it is denied, I'm going to put a toast to the user saying this app does not work without this permission. So I'm going to just put a, because my app doesn't have anything else. If anything else is there, or location is just an optional, I wouldn't have put that, but I would have put that location services are not available. So I'll just make this done. And but else, if at all he clicked on allow, what should I do? Please note this was asked in on create. So when you click on allow, which means when on create was called, permission was not given. When you clicked on allow, it came here and you have given allow. So you should call this on create once again so that it will say it is given. So I'm going to just say recreate. With this, the permissions part is done. Now the second part is use to see whether GPS is there in my phone and it is enabled or not. For that I need location manager. So let's create a location manager. This is the second part. So I'm going to create a location manager. Let's call it as manager, and let's instantiate him inside the on create. I'm going to call manager is equal to get system service. I'm going to look for location service. And since there's an error, let's fix that. Let's import the responding packages. So let's fix this issue, and it is done. Now the manager is ready. So if the manager is globally available now, please note that I've created it as a global object, so I can use it anywhere. So I'm going to write one more method called on start, because I don't want this to happen only on create. As soon as if you have switched off GPS and you've come back to my app, you cannot work because I don't get the data. if the GPS is off. So I'm going to write a simple if condition in the on start part. If I'm going to call the manager and say is provider enabled. Which provider are you looking for? I'm looking for GPS provider. So if this is equal to true, if this returns true to you, which means GPS is enabled in your phone. If it returns false to you, it is not enabled. So instead of making it a big code, I'm going to just put an exclamation symbol. In other words, you can read it like if not. Manager is provider enabled, GPS provider. In simple words, if I want to change this entire code, if GPS is not enabled in your phone, what am I going to do? I'm going to put a toast saying that GPS or location service is not turned on. Okay, we can also say that please try it once again after you have turned it on. So that's it. This is the second step, checking whether GPS is available in your device or not. So that is done. The third step is to trigger location change listener and ask which location are you in currently. So that's what we are going to do now. For that, I need location listener also. So I'm going to create a location listener. Let's name it as listener. And because I have only one manager and one listener, I'm not putting it as location manager and location listener. Just put the name so that we understand. Now here, in if at all you click, if the permission is already given, what am I supposed to do? So first, what we are going to do here is location manager dot request location update. This is what I mentioned in the PPT earlier. So I'm going to call the request location updates, and you see that the first four are the same four parameters we told you in the PPT. Number one, what are you requesting? Which provider will give me this data? You already know it is the GPS provider which will give that data. Second one is how long should I wait before I go and query your next one? Since it's the first time and I want the immediate location, I can just put 0 milliseconds. That's all in milliseconds. The time is always in milliseconds here. So if you don't want to wait at all, you just immediately you want the result, you give 0. If you want a delay, you can introduce a delay of 1 second or 2 seconds or 10 seconds. It's preferred that you give a little bit more delay so that the system doesn't utilize GPS again and again. But if you are asking it only once per time, after that you don't want it, like for example you're not navigating and you just want the information of where you are, so that you just put 0, that is fine. And then distance, how far should I move in order for me to trigger it once again? First time I want you to trigger, the next time when you call I don't want you to trigger unless you have moved, let's say 100 feet away, or it's in meters by the way, 100 meters away or 10 meters away. After that I want you to start. So I'm going to just put 0 right now just for time being. The last one, who is the listener? So I already have the listener object there. Let me just pass it. But please note that listener object right now will return null because you have not instantiated it. So let's instantiate it also. Let's write it after the location manager. Let me start. Listener is equal to. Just type the word new and press Control space because listener is an interface. So you'll just get that idea. So because it's an I interface, let me click on enter. It will implement all its methods. There are 4 methods for the listener: on location change, status changed, provider enabled, provider disabled. So all these things are there. I'm going to only focus on one method called on location changed. Now, once you clicked on, right now the location listener is instantiated so that this code would make sense. The listener is enabled now. Now, what I want to do is after this line, I also want to create a location with manager's help. I'm going to create something called location. So I'm going to name it as last location, which means the first time when you started, I just want the location from the system. So I'm going to call the manager and say get last known location. And for that, I need to say the provider. I'm going to say GPS provider. Done. Now, I'm going to create a method which could be called again and again so that, in order to update the location to my phone or to my device, if I want to see what is the current updated location, I'm going to create a separate method. By the way, this is not inbuilt. I'm going to create this method using the system's. So I'm going to say update my location. I'm going to create a method which will take last location as the parameter. And I hope you understood why it's an error, because there's no method like that. I created this method. So let's create a method in main activity itself. It will give me such a small code which has my method signature ready. Update my location, just need to pass last location to it. So if you have already got permission, all you need to do here is call the manager and request for an update and get the last location of your manager, which means the GPS of your phone, and then pass it to update my location. Now in this method, you have got the location where you are currently. You can do whatever you want with that information. So the very next time, if the location changes, what should I do? Call that update my location once again. So where will I go and call it? I'll just call it on location change my location, update my location, just pass this object here. So I'm going to just pass location to it. So that's it. Now every time your phone moves, for example, if you move your phone from one place to another, or if you are going somewhere and if the meters, since it is 0, it will keep on responding or collecting your data. So change the meters from 0 to 200. So once you move 200 meters away from this location, this will be triggered. And the same method will be called first time when you run the program, and every time you move your phone. So we have got this much ready. And now what to do in update my location? What am I supposed to do here? In this place, what we are going to do is we are going to use the third one, what I mentioned in the PPT, the geocoder. I'm going to use the geocoder to get all information about that location what you have just given me, and I'm going to return to you some details about, or a little bit details about the address in which you have just pointed. So let's create a geocoder object. So I'm going to just call it as geocoder, short form, is equal to, I'm going to create a geocoder object. So I'm going to say new geocoder, and within brackets I need to pass two parameters. One is context, the other one is the locale. Which locality are you right now calling this program for? So I do not know where you're calling from. Number one, I can tell context is fine, but the locale, let me get from the phone. Let the phone return. So I'm going to call locale.getDefault. So whatever default locality you have put in your phone, I want that. And just for safety's sake, because I don't want my app to crash if at all anything goes wrong, I'm going to put a try catch. So I'm going to start with try and a catch. Because it's network sensitive, so sometimes you might get an issue. I don't want my app to crash just because of that. Let them put the exception message. I'll go and read it and fix it. So now in this one, what I'm going to do here is from the geocoder, and using the geocoder, if you pass a location, I can get all details about that particular location. The first thing what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a list of addresses, because please note, if I pass a particular location detail which is kind of vague, it might return 2-3 spots near me. I don't want so many spots, I just want one spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list of address, because the data which comes from geocoder is always a list. I'm going to shorten it down to 1, but anyway, I'm going to say address list is equal to, call the geocoder object and then say get from location. Please note what is the return type. It's a list of address. Okay, get from location, and I need to just pass latitude, longitude, and how many results you want. Now please note, where will I get the latitude, where will I get the longitude, and where is the confusion. So here you see you have passed location to it. This location, as I told in the first slide, will give me the latitude and longitude. So I'm going to call last location dot get latitude. That's the first one what they asked me. Second one is they said they want longitude. So let me just call last location dot get longitude. Next, how many results do you want? I don't want more than one. Normally you get 4 or 5, but please don't give more than one. Let's give just one, and we'll stop with that. So please note, geocoder.get from location. I need to pass latitude, longitude, and how many results you want. I've got one result now stored in this list, and it is an address. So if I please note, I need not iterate through the entire address list, because I have specifically told I want only one result. So I'll get one address inside address list now. I can easily utilize it by just calling address list dot get of 0. So you will get the object. So but instead of that, let me just print for the first part, let's just print what detail is available in address. As a for each, I'm going to call address space, let's say address, and from where? From the address list. And I'm going to just put a log information so that we see what is the data. So I'm going to say GPS data, comma. I'm going to pass whatever is coming from address to string. That's it. So what we are going to do right now is we'll see in the log what data returns, and then we'll proceed with the program. Here is the output. You can see that there is address data which has come and which has some data inside it. Let's just quickly go through this, but please note I'm not depending on this. I'm going to get this data and display it neatly outside, but then let's see, have a preview of where it is pointing to. Since I'm running it in my emulator, it is going to show Google's by default address. So please note the address line has come there, Mountain View, and you can see it's the California place and Santa Clara County, and thoroughfare is Amphitheater Parkway, postal code is there, country code is US, and the country name is United States. So you have data, and I'm getting the data from my device. So if you run it in your phone right now, since I'm not using my phone, I'll not get my address, I'll be getting the Google's address. I will change it, I'll show it to you shortly. But in your phone, when you run, you should get our country code and the place where you are currently. Now that I've got the data, now let's see how to display this neatly in a list view in our program. So I'm going to remove this code. If you want, I'll comment it out. Now what we are going to do here is, please note, I would like to display all my information about the location where you are currently in a list view, in which I get the data on I'll be giving the title, and I want the answer from the geocoder, so that if I just get the location from the phone, I only get location. With the geocoder, I have taken into consideration that I've got all the details about that latitude and longitude. So let's do that. In order to do that, number one, I need to do a small bit of design. That's just something but putting a list view there, and once the list view is ready, we can come here and we'll create, like how we did the array program in contacts. We'll be using a hash map, and we put that hash map inside an array list, and we'll attach that array list to the list view. This is what I'm going to do quickly. If you have doubts in this, please do check the contacts app. You'll understand the code what I'm trying to do. So let's go to the design part now, and let's change the component tree, or I'll just go to the component tree. First, I'll convert this constraint layout into a linear layout to just avoid problems, and I'm going to just go to the palette legacy. I'm going to drag and drop one list view inside the linear layout. So I have a linear layout, and inside that I have a list view. So I'm going to click on the list view's dynamic ID. I'm going to remove that and put my own ID. I'm going to put LV GPS data. Only that much. And also one more small thing, I'm going to put a margin for this because I don't want all the data to come very close to each other. I'm going to put a margin. With that, design part is done. Let's go to the code part. Now in the code part, please note, I would like a list of names and list of values. Name is what I'll be giving so that we understand. Value is given by the location manager. But then please note, I would like a list, at least 10 data I would like to display. So since I'm not going to write each and everything in different labels, it's difficult to create 10 labels and then put the data on those 10 labels. All I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple two arrays. One array to hold only the names, which is understandable by us. The other one array just to hold the value which comes from the user. Let's create a string array called data names. And I'm going to create it as a new string array, and I'll be giving the data which is here. So let's start with the first name. I would like first to display latitude, so I'm going to just say latitude, comma, within double quotes I'm going to just give longitude. Third one, I would like to display the address line. Fourth data, what I want to display is they would use the word called thoroughfare. I'll be using the word road or street because that's more clear for us to understand. And next one is the locality. That will be returned by the location. And I'm going to say they'll be using the word admin and sub-admin. But for our clarity, I'm going to write the word state. And I'm going to write the word district, and they would use the word postal code. We'll use the word pin code. So I'm going to just put pin code, and I would like the country name or country data or whatever you want to give there, because I'm going to put two things there. I want to put IN which stands for India, and they would have US, which stands for United States. So I'm going to put both into that one line. So I get country name and the country code in the same place. So totally I have 9 records. Please note the first 2 are just latitude and longitude, but the remaining are textual data. You will get data about this. So I'm going to take all these things as the names, which will be given as the like how we saw contacts, name and phone number. This is the names. The numbers, I'll be getting it from the system again. So I'm going to create a string, another string array called data values, and I'm going to write it as new string array. Please note I'm writing it in different lines so that it is clear and visible here. You can write this is actually one line of code. I've just written it like this so that you can read it and understand it. That's it. And now I need to replace these things. So I want equivalent value for this in my program. So how do I do that? So I add I'm going to call the one which you have here, the address list. So I'm going to call address list dot get. You know for sure only one record has come because you have asked them to give only one result. So if it is only one record, the value of get would be 0 because first value, 0th index, dot get. What do you want? First I want latitude. So I'm going to say get latitude. Since it's a double, it will not be passed here. So I'm going to just put plus and double quote so that I'm just tricking the system to think it is a string. All right. Second one. I'm going to just copy paste this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what I'm going to do here is get, I'm going to change that into get longitude. The next one, we want address line. So I'm going to say get address line. Please note get address line will ask you to pass which address. Since if you see the output, I get said maximum result is 1. So obviously I'll get only 1. So I'm going to say index of 0, which means the first one. And then next one, after address line, we have put road or street. For that, we have the word as thoroughfare. Get thoroughfare. That's enough. And the next one, locality. The word itself is locality. So get locality. Next, state. We'll use the word admin area. And district, we'll use the word subadmin area. And the pin code, we'll just use the word get postal code. And the last one, since I don't I want to display both in the same place, I'm going to say get country name. I'm going to put that alone. If you want, we can also concatenate that with the same thing, but only thing is it's not country name, it's country code. So I'm going to just say country code. Done. So I have created 9 words here, and for all those 9 I have values here. So data names and data values. So all I am going to do here is before I go to the next part of the code, I'm going to create a hash map which will store latitude is equal to the value, latitude number, longitude number, address line number. Like this I want each data to be mapped. So I'm going to create a hash map. And then I want a list. Since I have 9 elements, I'm going to make a list of that hash map. Since we have already done this, you should know this. So let's go and create those 2. Number 1, I'm going to create a hash map of key value. Both data type is string. And let's call it as hash map data. And the second thing is array list, because I want to bind it to a list view shortly. Array list of the same thing, hash map of string comma string. Let's name it as data list. And I would like to instantiate an array list because this is going to be created only once, but hash map will be instantiated how many ever records are there, that many times. So after this, let's also instantiate data list is equal to new array list of hash map of string comma string. So now I have all the information is required. Let's go back to our update my location. Now all I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a simple for loop. For I equal to 0, I is less than any one of those data columns. So I'm going to say data names dot length. So how many ever records are there, that many times this loop will run. Every time the loop runs, I would like you to create a hash map data, a new hash map data actually. And let's create it as string comma string. And let's start putting data into it. So I'm going to say hash map data dot put. I want a key. Key is data underscore. I'm going to just put this like this so that you understand it's not the same name or given above, comma, data names of I. Done. Every time the loop runs, I would get each and every name and put it inside a key called data underscore name. Same thing I'm going to repeat again. Hashmap dot put data underscore value, and let's call data values array and pass the I. Done. So you have got the hash map. Now last line inside the loop itself to add this hash map data, one record into that data list. So I'm going to call data list, which is an array list of hash map, and I say add hash map data. Done. By the end of this code, you already have a hash map data and an array list of that hash map data. All you need to do is bind this data to a list using an adapter. So let's do that. Link the list view which is there in the design to the code. So let's go to the top and let's create a list view, GPS list view, and as soon as the program starts, let's link it also. List view is equal to find view by id r.id.lv GPS data. The list view which is there in the design. So I've linked it. Now all I need to do is set an adapter on this list view so that it works. So let me do it in the on update itself. So I'm going to call list view, the GPS list view dot set adapter. And for this purpose, I'm going to use a new simple adapter, just like how we have done in the contacts app. Please go through that program to understand it. And the parameters I need to pass is number 1, context, number 2, a list, number 3, how do you want to display it, number 4, from, number 5 is to. So let me start writing them in different lines so that it is much more clearer. So I'm going to press enter. I'm going to start with the first one. Context is this. Second one, what is the data you want to display? I want to display the data list, which is an array list of hash map. And third thing, how do you want to display it? I'm going to use the 2-line list item because I want name and then value. So I want to say android dot r dot layout dot 2-line list item. That's how I wanted to display. And if you want 2-line list item, I need to pass what is the name and what is the value. So from and to, from where to where. So I'm going to create a new string array within brackets, within double quotes. I need to pass the 2 keys. The key which you have created here. So let me just use data underscore name, comma, data underscore value. That is the from to where. Okay, so let's put a comma and let's write new int array. And this you need to tell in which control name will go, in which control value will go. So I'm going to say android.r.id.text1. That's the first text box. The first text view will have the name displayed and the value will be there in android.r.id.text2. With this, the program is done. So now if you run the program, all the data from the location which your phone returns should be taken and then displayed in a neat format in the list view. Let's run this program and check if it works. Here the output is available right now. You can see the latitude, longitude, the address line of where it is located. So let me just go back and change it. So I'm going to click here. Let's open this. Please note by default it is pointing to Googleplex, which is the address which is returned here right now. So I'm going to search for let's say AIMIT St.Aloysius College. So I'm going to search for our college. This map is available. So I'm going to just put the this is the save point which is already done by somebody. So I'm going to just click on set location. So once I've set the location, now I'm going to stop my program and run it once again. And if you see the output, it's a little bit different this time because I've set the location through my, if it is in your phone, you will get your location. Since it is emulator, I'm searching for AIMIT and I've set the location as AIMIT. So if you see the output now, latitude of AIMIT's location, longitude, the address line of where AIMIT is located, and the road or street in which we are located. Locality is Kotekar, state is Karnataka, district is Dakshina Kannada, pin code is 575022, and it's in India-IN. This much data we got only by one information which came from the location manager, the GPS provider's data. With this, the GPS demo is done. Please try this and let me know if you have any queries. Thank you guys.